This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
So in our first part, Brad, we kind of talked about our evaluation of Shedeur. And we kind of both ended up at the same place where it's like, hey, if you got a top 2 pick and you can walk into one of these quarterbacks, you probably should take it. But I think one thing people have forgot when they're having this argument about whether the Browns should go quarterback or not is that the draft isn't the first thing that happens after the end of the season. There's like this whole period of free agency that goes down here, right?
Thanks.
So, and then you could trade and everything else. So if the Browns decide that that's what they want to do, they have to pick to get the quarterback, they go get the quarterback. Brad, what do you want to see them do in that lead-up period that would make you feel really good about them setting up that quarterback for success?
It's hard because I don't believe in like the main positions we're talking about rebuilding for me is the offensive line and the wide receiver room. I feel like this wide receiver room is just so, the culture is so bad there, and I don't know. I don't feel good about it outside of a couple guys, and so I feel like you need core rebuilds in both rooms, right? And how you go about that, I think, has to be mostly through the draft. But the places that you can supplement, right, for me are like guard. Like I think you could probably find a serviceable guard, or two, even a depth piece or a swing tackle, however you want to approach it. Like you're not going to find your starting tackle. I don't think you should pay for a starting tackle in free agency. Like I don't think you should go try to get a number 1 wide receiver in free agency. Those deals just tend to not work out, right? So I think that if you add supplemental pieces like a guard that can play, an NFL caliber guard, and a depth piece that you'd like, in free agency at the offensive line, and maybe a swing tackle, right? That would feel like the right move. Maybe 2 or 3 moves on the offensive line that raises the floor, right, of that room and adds a starter or 2 at guard. I think Whippler can probably start at center. I don't know. You want to bring in reasonable competition for him in free agency, but like his pass blocking grades have been excellent. His PFF grades have been down, but they've been he's been getting killed because he gets penalized. But his grades are like green, and then like his overall grades like a 40, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And then you look and you see that he got like 2 penalties. His pass protection has been very good. He needs to get better in the run game. But I do think, like, give him an offseason as the guy. He might be one less starter you have to go find, right? I think that Tevin Jenkins is worth having back into the building. But outside of that, that's about it. Dewan will be there. I'd like to see him move to the right side, and you should provide competition for him. But I think one of your first 3 picks, which are your top pick, your Jacksonville pick, and your second overall pick, which will be high as well, right? Basically a late first rounder as well. You're going quarterback and then either tackle, receiver, or receiver tackle in that order in the draft. So I think that's kind of, it has to go that way at least. That makes the most sense to me. And so while I think that the best way to rebuild this room is a trade in the wide receiver room, and I don't know what's going to be available there, but it feels like a trade and a top 40 draft pick and maybe a later draft pick as well, like add 2 receivers in this draft. I think you want to turn over the core of this room. Like you can bring, like I don't mind if they move Jerry Jeudy. Do you think anybody would buy on Jerry Jeudy? He's a low cost guy.
Yeah, I don't know if they would want to sell him, to be honest with you. But you could probably trade him to somebody and get
He
like a late
strikes
round
me
pick for him.
as he strikes me as like the he seems like this year we saw the Denver Broncos version of Jerry Jeudy, and it is like I don't want him in a room that I'm trying to rebuild a culture in. I don't know. I just think he's a bad influence on all of that. He just has struck me as a guy that has been malcontent.
Why
And
malcontent?
I don't, dude, he's just like, he's barely audible in interviews. He seems mad as hell all the time. He doesn't finish his routes half the time when you're watching him on film. He seems angry on the field half the time when you're watching him. His body language is terrible. It's just like, he's not the guy that we saw for like 3 weeks of Jameis last year, where he got all his yards in him were like on a heater, right? And he got to 1,000 yards, and it was like, oh, he's so good. But really, if you splice out those games, he has not really been consistent at all since he's been here. And he
Yeah,
hasn't had a good quarterback at the same time.
I just don't think you can get your. I don't think there's a path to make your wide receiver room better if you
By
trade
getting
him.
rid of him.
Yeah, I don't think there's a path to make that room better. By
Addition by subtraction, my man.
I don't think he is addition by subtraction worthy though. Like I think he's probably your most talented wide receiver on the core. And I
Right
think
now,
what
he is, yeah.
happened with him is just they kind of put him in a position he wasn't ready for or isn't really fit for, right? Like they made him the veteran in the room.
Yeah.
They made him the only guy, the only option they could go to. And I think just getting more there and just letting him be in the slot instead of having him have to move around like a number one has to, I think that have let him be a lot more effective than he was this last season. And like, look, if you get better quarterback play in there, like,
Yeah.
then all this stuff that bothers you about Jerry Jeudy's not going to bother you as much because he's going to be productive for you.
That's fine. Yeah, and you're probably right. Like you can sell me on that, on keeping him for sure. I just if I found a deal where like you could get another guy in here of a similar caliber, like the Newsome trade or something like that, I would explore it. You know what I mean? Because I don't think he's the best fit.
Yeah, if
But
you get Brian Thomas Jr. here for him, like, sure.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't know if that deal's going to be out there.
sure, sure. I was just throwing that out there. Like I was disappointed in the way like he doesn't want to hear the crowd when he scores a touchdown. He's covering his ears. You don't want to hear nobody. It's just like, I don't know if I want that guy leading my room going forward. Now, to your point, was he ever supposed to be in that position? Probably not. Um, but to get the room better, whether he's there or another guy of similar caliber is there, you have that piece. You have Isaiah Bond, which I think stresses defenses vertically. I think he has a future here for sure. I want to see what he can do. You can bring anybody else you want to camp. I'd like to see Malachi Corley here because he brings some toughness to the room, and he's kind of got some dog in him that I need that room needs. But anybody else like Jamari Thrash, I don't care. Everybody else can go pretty much except who am I forgetting about?
In the wide receiver room?
19. Tillman. Tillman can come to camp, but I'm not depending on him at all. I can't depend on him
He
anymore.
can't stay healthy.
I can't depend on him anymore. So I'm moving forward as if he is not part of the room, but he can come to camp and we'll see what he has, right? But Bond, Judy, or Judy adjacent, right? We'll have them in, and then a high draft pick, a top 40 draft pick, and a trade. And then maybe like in free agency, I would like to add like a veteran once again to raise the floor. Like bring me a Zacchaeus or somebody like that on a lower cost deal that just raises the floor and brings another professional wide receiver to the room.
Yeah, I would wonder, like, I think you probably want to bring in another tight end if you're going to let David walk. Because it seems like they're going to let David walk. I mean,
if they let him walk, you have to, yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to let David walk too, because it's funny how this works out. right? Because the David Njoku experience has been this. He gets drafted to the Browns in 2017. He has like those first couple of years, which are pretty solid. And then the Browns move to Stefanski, who's completely like, he's not going to use David the way that they used. They were using David to get vertical shots, seam shots, right? That's not the Stefanski offense. So they had to kind of figure out a way to jerry-rig it, basically, to get David into those spots where David likes to be. And it was always kind of like an awkward pairing, right? Because like Stefanski found a way to use him that was very effective, but it still never felt like the natural use for David Njoku. And then you end up in this year with Harold Faden, who is exactly what you want in that kind of a system at tight end.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it's like the second that they knew that was going to be that, they kind of just gave up on the David Njoku experiment. So I imagine he's gone. I would like another veteran tight end because like that can help out with pass protection a lot. I think getting
that's a place you can go for free agency for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think also it's just like there's so much a head coach hire could do to make that quarterback's life easier, right? Because like let's say you get somebody on the offensive side of the ball who can better structure their run game. It's going to be a tremendous
100%.
help.
That's got to be the
young quarterback, right? Yeah, I think that's been the biggest beef I've had with Kevin and Tommy Rees. It's just been like, we just run the ball out these same 3 sets. We
invite players into the box and run into heavier boxes. It's crazy, dude. It's almost like it's maddening. The run game is maddening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not been structured well at all. And that's been just a tremendous issue for the Browns over the last few years. And then, I think you want to address offensive line. I do. Do you think that trading one of those backup quarterbacks is part of like setting that number 2 or number 1 overall pick up for success?
Yeah.
So you think you would have to trade Shador?
I would.
You would trade Shador? Yeah.
Just to optimize. I don't really care.
No question.
Just quiet the noise behind him. Let him be the guy. Like, whether we want it to be or not, or people to accept it or not, I've pretty much learned about this group that supports Shador, right or wrong. They are not going to take no for an answer. So it will just be more, conspiracy, trying to hold him back, sabotaging him, all this crazy stuff that I don't think is necessary to put behind somebody that you want to invest that much in.
I think that's fair. And then let's see, running back, you're fine.
Yeah.
Receiver, the receiving room is difficult because it's like you definitely need to add a couple of pieces. So what you're probably talking about a veteran, like you said. I would probably think that they trade for the veteran.
Trade makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think they trade for the veteran. We really got to figure out what that new coach is going to want to be running a lot of, what kind of offense they're going to want to be running, if they're going to have an offense at all. But just, I want it to be clear too, by the time we get to like March, that this is what we're doing, right? Like, I want there to be no debate once we get to the draft that they're taking the quarterback and that's what they're doing, right? I personally would not mind, like, if you want to go out and you want to sign what Green Bay starting tackle is going to hit free agency, and you want to give him a 2-year deal worth $25 million per year, or, so that they can hold you over until you draft a tackle in 2027. Yeah, maybe a 3-year deal there. Sure, I think I was talking about this, right? The template that they used to fix the offensive line in 2020. They could still use that template there, right? And you can maybe spend a 1st-round pick on a guard, and then have the free agent tackle. And then bring back, maybe DeJuan holds it down at right tackle, and then
Right.
just have some depth behind him. Because, like, you can't really trust DeJuan. You can't really
You
trust Tevin Jenkins. He's had such an injury history throughout his career. I
Yeah.
think Wyatt, with better offensive linemen around him, can actually still be good. And if you like Luke Whippler.
So are you bringing him back then?
Yeah, I think you should bring him back. You got to bring back one of the guys who are going to be dead money next year. I think Wyatt's the one that makes the most sense, because bringing back Jack Conklin just feels kind of
No,
pointless.
don't do that. Don't do that. No, you're
because you don't need two right tackles you can't trust, and then they both can't make it the first month of the season. But yeah, it's just like, I want to see there be a lot of resources put into this. And like, Andrew Berry's a tricky one to evaluate, right? Because there are some things that you can say about him and paint about him that makes him seem like he's a terrible GM. But then you look at, like, okay, where did he focus his assets when he first got here? And then where did those assets get focused on there? And the results are usually good, right? 2020, the focus was like, fix that offensive line. It was terrible in 2019.
Yep.
He gets here, put some resources into the offensive line. Offensive line goes from the worst to the best. Okay. Yep. And then they spend the next few years just trying to build up that defense. By 2023, it's the best defense in the league, or at least one of the better defenses in the league. So there's enough there to make me have some trust that, like, okay, well, if they put their resources behind this, they can build a good offense, because they've been able to do this over the last couple of years at different spots. But it's just, I need there to be concrete evidence that that's what they're planning on doing, right? I think you want to just go into that draft being like, okay, they are focused on the offensive line and improving the offense, and that's where they're spending most of their resources. If they go in there and they're like, oh yeah, we spent a bunch of money on like a corner, I'm going to be a little nervous, because it's like, oh, what the fuck are we doing? But if we go in there and it's clear that the focus has been offensive line, pass catcher, then I feel like that's quite adequate to me, right?
Agreed.
I know that everybody's worried about, like, oh, you don't want another Tim Couch situation where he goes in there, gets completely beat up early on in his career, right? When you draft the quarterback that early. And I can't promise you that the Browns are going to have the best offensive line next year, but they can have a better offensive line.
Should be much better.
And a deeper offensive line. Maybe that's another thing we should throw in there. Like, you should get some depth for that offensive line.
100%. Every team in the league is in their depth by week 14, 15.
Yeah, I saw Thayer Mumford at a game. What was it?
Playing,
the Patriots?
Playing for the Patriots, man.
I'm like, what happened in Cleveland?
Yep. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is just get to a place to where you feel like you have an offensive line room that can withstand a bit of a challenge there when it comes to injury, and that can at least provide you league average play. And to be fair to this current group, they've been 7th in pass block win rate, or something crazy like that the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah. No, it's more and more the run game where they miss assignments more than often and get beat in the backfield. They've been better in the pass game. You're right.
Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code WORSTTAKE. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper.
My question for you is, like, okay, do you agree with my in obviously this is in a vacuum, it makes sense to go quarterback, tackle, wide receiver, or quarterback, wide receiver, tackle. Agreed with your top 3 picks?
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen Barry take a wide receiver that high. We've seen him invest a lot of mid assets in the draft to the wide receiver and not work out. Outside of Donovan Peoples-Jones, I guess you would say, maybe. I guess you'd call that kind of a successful pick as a 6th, 7th rounder.
6th round pick. He had a 800-yard season. Success.
you think he can hit on a guy in the late first round? I would like to think he could do it.
I think people get caught up in like, oh, what's the hit rate with this specific position?
Yeah.
For me, it's like, what's the hit rate for that area that he's picking in, right?
Yes.
And it's like, what Jed Wills is probably the worst pick he's made within the top 2 rounds of the draft.
Other than
that is what Greg Newsom's a starter. And then obviously the other second round picks are really good, right? Is it Grant Delpit? Was that him? Was he the Grant Delpit pick? Was that 2020?
Delpit was a second rounder, yeah.
Yeah, Delpit, JOK, Carson Schlesinger, Quincy Judkins.
Yeah, man.
So pretty good track record in the top like 40 picks here.
Yeah.
So Mike Hall, what I think was like pick 51 or something like that.
That's right, Mike Hall. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to think like they're fine if they move up and they have to. Well, if they're taking somebody closer to the top of the draft, then I think they have a track record of making good selections there.
Yeah.
And even with the Jed Wills thing, like that was a tough outcome because everybody who knew anything about offensive tackle told you that was a good pick, right? I think like Joe Thomas was talking about it, and it was who else was raving about him before? Bill Callahan. Bill Callahan was like raving about him too. So that was just a tough outcome. Like I think there was just some things that popped up with him that you couldn't see coming.
There are always going to be those cases.
Yeah.
That's what just some people have to realize. You can learn as much as you can about somebody and do all your due diligence and still not account for something the
thing that breaks him happens like 2 years into his career, right?
Exactly.
Which is, I'm a firm believer that happened, right? Something broke him about 2 years into his career.
Yeah. He stopped caring about football.
I think it has to do with my theory is that Miles broke him. Like 2 years of having to practice against Miles. Like, cause it's so strange when you look at it, but it's like,
that's hilarious.
We know how good Miles was in 2020. He was a good player, but he was still within the realm of regular football player. And then like 2023 is that first year where Miles is like a fucking superhuman, right?
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that is exactly when Jed Wills took a shit as a football player. Like he was good in 2020, was fine in 2021, fine in 2022. 2023 comes along, he took a complete shit as a player.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think Miles broke him.
He did. He might have. That might be the answer. That's so funny though.
Yeah, like I think there is something about how good he is at edge. It just destroys your confidence.
He took his will to play the game from him because he just quit. Right? He's not playing.
Yeah, he's out of the league out for a whole year. Like it feels mental.
Who does that?
Yeah, it feels mental. That's what I'm saying. Like it feels mental. And it's like in Alabama, he was one of the best of the best, and he's probably used to keeping his own. And then you get your ass beat every day at practice.
Somebody would have paid him a decent contract to play tackle this year.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes you get those situations where like what breaks that player happens like 2 years into his career or whatever it is.
Couldn't have seen it coming.
Because he was on a pretty solid path as a starting left tackle in the NFL for the first couple of years. And then he just completely went to shit last few years.
He just drove fans crazy because he wouldn't play through the whistle or look for work. And that drove people crazy, but he was still a league average or above tackle until 23.
It's going to be funny too, because if he does come back and have like a nice resurgence to his career, which is entirely possible, he's still super young.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those same accounts are going to be like, see, I knew we should have kept him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Revisionist.
Yeah, but that's like when people ask those questions like, hey, can Andrew draft this position? I look at it more as like, what round are you taking the guy in? You judge any GM by their 5th round picks. They're not going to be pretty good, right? They're not going to be a good GM.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think it's more or less where are you selecting them and what's his track record there? And I think that's the one thing with Andrew is like, hey, the track record with the early picks has been good, right? Like when we were talking about JOK, who would have been a franchise player on defense, Carson Schlesinger, another franchise player on defense. And then Quincy Judkins, who probably going to be a franchise player on offense once you get a decent line behind him.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with like it just has to be a concentrated effort from the word go this offseason to remake as best as you can, raise the floor in both rooms, offensive line, we'll just call it pass catcher because it's all it's not just wide receiver like you said, it's tight end as well. But like raise the floor in those rooms, excuse me, and then you have to add top end talent as well. Like you have to add pieces that you can like you should be adding a left tackle and a one or two receiver with your top 40 picks that you can build from there and then add around it, right? Like add a veteran and with a trade, or if you find a guy you really like in tertiary free agency, not the first, second market, but like down the line, maybe you add him to raise the room a little bit because they just need more professional receivers in there.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'll ask this question. Is there a type of coach they could hire this offseason that would scream to you that they are absolutely drafting a quarterback?
Yeah, I think that well really my question for, I think any offensive coach for me would kind of scream that.
Mm.
Like Joe Brady, Cliff Kingsbury, even like if they wanted to roll out go way out on a limb and take Udinsky or something like that, hire the young guy, roll the dice on your, the savant next McVay savant guy. Like I think any of those guys are going to want their choice of either of these two quarterbacks at the top of the draft.
You know what name would scream to me that they would be taking a quarterback?
Kubiak?
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown.
Because they would basically be like, okay, we're going to give you your vet with your head coach while also having him kind of be the CEO of the whole thing, right?
Do you think he is head coach worthy?
He's almost gotten a job a couple of times, right? Like, what's he doing right now?
He's the quarterbacks coach or OC somewhere. I don't know if he's the
quarterbacks
OC.
coach in Minnesota.
Minnesota, maybe.
Yeah, so he's been the quarterbacks coach since 2024. So last year did that work with Sam Darnold. This year did the work with number 9 out there.
So maybe his next step, like if you're gonna hire a defensive coach, maybe he's like a guy you want to look at as your OC.
I think you can bring him in as a head coach as long as he can kind of play the hardball role, where he's overseeing it. Because he for what he doesn't have in coaching experience, he has immensely in playing, right? Like I think that matters a ton. Like he's played a ton in this NFL too. So
do you have like a favorite guy that you want?
I try to stay away from that because all that I've realized happens when I try to have like a favorite is that like either they hire him or they don't hire him. And then I get like mad about it. And it's like, it's a pointless endeavor because like, why was that guy my favorite? I don't know. I just kind of decided, right? Like, you know, there's not really enough metrics to evaluate coaching like there is for players for me to feel good about it in any way. It's just traits. Like, I just want there to be traits that you're looking for.
Like a lot of people are pounding the table, like they have to have like the opposite of Stefanski, like a loud leader of man.
I'm not a big buyer into that kind of stuff.
Me neither.
Yeah, where it's like need a guy to be screaming and yelling at people.
Right. He needs to be a leader of men, no doubt. But there's different ways to lead, and it doesn't need to be like there's this whole like it has to be like Dan Campbell is your next coach, right? Because he's the opposite of Stefanski. People want to course correct as far the other way as possible, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like what you got to look at the reason that Stefanski's actually being fired. It's really has nothing to do with that. It's
Right,
really
it
more or
does.
less the lack of creativity in the run game. And the lack of every time he's tried to advance this offense into the future, 3 years, it's fallen on his face 3 years in a row. That's
Yeah.
why he's getting fired.
Yep.
Like as far as like the leader of men, like locker room stuff, like it seems like he still has
He does.
some of that, right? Like Joe Petonius went on fucking soliloquy talk about how much he loves Kevin, right? Like, you know, it doesn't seem like that's been an issue for him. I know that's usually what people default to, but it doesn't seem like it's the case. I think
I do think a new
voice,
and I think a new voice would do them good though at this point, 6 years in.
Yeah. I mean, like how many of these guys on offense would have been here for the whole Kevin running and more? Because what all the
I'm
guys have been
saying,
offensive line has been here. They're about to be gone. David's about to be gone. I mean, the voice is going to be new to whoever the offense is next year.
It's a good point.
You know,
good point.
So, like,
I guess in the locker room, I guess I'm ready for a new voice. Just because it's what they have going on right now as a whole is just not working. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, you just need something to make it feel new.
Yes.
You know, I don't know how much of a difference that makes, like, tangibly for them. I know for, like, people like me and you, it would feel a lot different. Like, it'd be like, okay, at least we're doing something different.
I think for some players it will matter. I don't know. I don't want. It's just the offense has been so stale and stagnant for 3 years. So I guess it's that we know that's why he's getting fired. But I also think that a new that a voice you can start to tune out a voice. You know what I mean? After so long, like sometimes you just need to change. Like the Cavs changed. Look at Bernie Bickerstaff. He's probably going to win Coach of the Year with the Pistons, whatever, all that stuff. He's still a great coach. But the Cavs last year, they needed a change in voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't
know. Yeah. I think that could benefit you. I think also just advancing the offense next year and using like
is the main. That's the main thing.
It's going to be the main thing that makes you better. But
the main thing is the main thing there. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Thank you, Brad Ward, for talking with us, man. Where can people find you?
Browns Film Breakdown at Ward on Sports on X, Twitter, as Quincy would prefer. That's where you can find me. But tune into Browns Film Breakdown. Me and Jake Burns, Peter Moses. It's good stuff. Appreciate you having me, Q, as always.
No problem, man. You have a great day. Everybody else have an even better night. Peace.